So it's been another successful day for computer picking. I stopped by that same little computer repair shop that I stopped by about a month ago and found some more machines. The guy had set aside a few more for me. Let's see what we got. Back here we've got, what is this thing? An old IBM NetVista model, real big chunky machine. And there's a generic white box PC there. I'm going to set the camera down real quick in here so I can get this out. Take this out too. Oh boy. There's all sorts of stuff rattling around inside this machine. Take a look at these first. It's a nice IBM/Lenovo ThinkCentre, but it's seen better days, as you could hear when I was taking it out of there. There's all sorts of stuff inside the case that's loose. I don't think it's got any screws in the side, so let's see if I can get that off. Ooh. It's got a little thing that you push to release. I don't know if I can do it with one hand. I think I'm going to have to set the camera down again. Sorry about that. There we go. Oh boy. That's definitely seen better days. Alright. Heatsink is missing. Seems to be not in the case. There is nothing in the socket. There's a drive cage there. There's a shroud for the heatsink. We've got cables that go to the front here. Another cable. Yeah, that's not too healthy there. Yeah, this machine is pretty well gutted. There's just parts rattling around in it all over the place. But at least there's a SATA cable there. Fairly nice IDE cable that's split down like that. That's actually going to be really handy for a few builds that I'm going to be doing for the old Windows 2000 build. That'll be nice. The case itself, it does have some proprietary stuff going on, like this cable here. I'm not sure really what that's for. This front panel audio and USB. I'm gonna have to do some hacking to get this all to work, because I'll probably build something else in here. Either that, or I may repurpose this. I may rebuild this motherboard and see if I can find a cooler to fit in there. I actually think I have coolers that will fit this out of an old slimline IBM ThinkCentre. I believe they use that same cooler, but it does look like this is a fairly standard, I think it's a BTX board, unfortunately, but I think it's a fairly standard board, so I think I'll have something that will fit in here. So I can definitely make some use out of that case there. This one over here is another, this I think is an actual true IBM PC, not an IBM PC as in the 5150 or anything, but it's an IBM NetVista desktop form factor computer. If I can get it open. There it goes. Pull the top off, and let's see what we got inside here. This looks like it's complete. We've got a high-pro power supply. It's a little sketchy. Small fan back here. Got another fan here. Another at our cooler. It looks really pretty pathetic actually for a Pentium 4. This strange hold down for the Northbridge cooler. It looks like it's meant to be removable, which is not the norm. I think looks like all the caps are okay on this board. We've got 2 RAM sticks. Let's see what this is. It looks like it's DDR. That is a 256 meg module, so it looks like it's probably, this one is double-sided. Actually, this is not DDR, that's SD RAM. Wow, that's really old. Most likely 328 megs because we've got one double-sided DIMM with chips on both sides and one with chips only on one side. We do have a hard drive in there. I don't know what size it is. And I don't know how this comes out. It looks like you just push this tab here. There's a tab on both sides. Let's see if I can pull that out. 40 gigabyte. Okay, so that's not exactly great. But hey, it'll work for something. Kind of neat case design. I like it quite a lot. It's got this whole modularity to it, toolless design that's quite nice. I think you do have to use a screwdriver to get the board out. Yeah, it looks like it's that is screwed in and the heatsink's screwed in, but all the drives are toolless, so that's pretty good. A fairly nice little board. It actually does have an AGP card in here. What is it got? It's got an NVIDIA Vanta 16. I don't know. Looks like just a basic business kind of graphics card. Nothing spectacular. The other machine that's in here is just another generic white box PC. I really just kind of wanted this one for the case because it is kind of a pretty neat looking case. Oh, excuse me. And it's got this kind of metallic front faceplate. It is a little bit yellowed, and I might do some custom painting on this because I do like it. It's a really heavy duty case. I'll get that one out here and we'll take a look inside of it. Okay, here's a little closer look at this. It actually doesn't have a motherboard in it, but it has a power supply, so that's good. But yeah, it's a pretty cool looking machine. It's got some scuffs on the front, but I think I can buff a lot of that out. It's got these kind of faux screws that hold that on, which I don't think they really are structural in any way. But yeah, it's a neat looking case. I quite like it. Looks like it used to have a panel over this bottom, but that's missing. It doesn't really bother me too much. It still looks alright without it. So that'll be okay. We do have a 52X CD drive. I don't know if it's a burner. I don't think it is. Looks like it's just a reader. And then we've got a CDRW burner down there. So I'll repurpose those for something. Got some sort of generic looking power supply in the back. And it looks like there's a bunch of just cables and things rattling around in there. It doesn't look like there's any hard drives or any sort of motherboard or expansion cards in it. So yeah, oops, excuse me. And we have just a basic white box case, which I will repurpose for something. It's too bad that ThinkCentre there is BTX, otherwise I would have a lot more uses for it. But yeah, it's unfortunate it's not micro ATX. But I've got some motherboards that will fit in there. Let's see what else we've got. Also picked up a couple of laptops. Here's some sort of Lenovo laptop. It's a rather basic looking machine. Looks like it's I can't tell what that COA used to be. I think it might have been Windows 7. It was a G550. So I don't know what this thing would have been rocking for specs, but I hope it has a hard drive in it. Also have this HP, which is of unknown condition. The Lenovo apparently has a bad motherboard, or at least that's what he thinks was wrong with it. This is an XP laptop. But I'm going to have to get a screwdriver to get into those. They both do have batteries, so that's good. I can at least harvest some 18650 cells out of those, at very least. I've also got 3 other laptop batteries in here somewhere. I'm not sure where they have... Well, actually, I do know where they are. They're inside of that gateway over there, which is the other and final machine. I actually have another one of these elsewhere in the house, but this is one of those silver gateway towers. It has the weird flap over the doors in the front. I'll get it out of here and we'll take a... Okay, here's a better look at the gateway tower. This is a Pentium 4 HT machine. So probably socket 478. It's a fairly well-equipped thing. We've got a DVD multiplayer, CD burner, all sorts of dust and boogers coming out of there. It's a rather interesting little blanking thingamajig, kind of like that. Probably never get that to sit quite right in there, but yeah, and we've got a floppy drive, front USB. It's got blanking spots over the headphone jacks, unfortunately, so that didn't have front audio. But yeah, it's got that neat little cover there. It's actually pretty well equipped inside as well. It's just running onboard video, but we do have an add-in Ethernet card in there. I don't know why it has that, since it does have onboard Ethernet. Maybe they added gigabit, I hope, because I do like to have me some extra gigabit Ethernet cards laying around. Just pull that side panel off and see what we got in here. Of course, I stuffed these batteries in here for the trip home. So there's 3 more random assorted laptop batteries, a power cable, and what else we got? This looks like the Ethernet card here. I can probably just undo this thumb screw and get that out. We'll see what kind of card it is. Oh boy, that's just a 10100 hunk of crap. I don't even know if it's 10100. Looks like junk though. I don't know why that would be in there unless this was being used for some sort of server application, which wouldn't surprise me. Just put that back in. I don't mind having some Ethernet cards laying around either, even if they are just kind of junk. Good for those older machines that don't have any onboard Ethernet. This device, or this machine here, actually does have 2 SATA ports down here, and the cap that blows on these all the time actually hasn't, but the ones up here have. So yeah, we've got another one over there that's blown. So all those tall, skinny caps have blown on that board. I'll go ahead and fix this one. Even though it is a Pentium 4 machine, it's still got an AGP slot and 4 RAM slots. I don't know what it's got for RAM. Please be at least one 512 meg stick. I see a single-sided and a double-sided DIMM. We've got a 1 gigabyte DDR DIMM. This has suddenly become a much more usable computer. Let me see, is this one 512 meg? If it is, I'll be quite pleased. Only 128 meg, so they had a 1 gig stick and a 128 meg stick. What the hell? Is this really 1 gig? Looks like it, unless it was part of a kit. Could be a part of a kit. But yeah, I'll have to test those and see what size they really are. Or at least what size that one really is. I can't believe that's a 1 gig stick, but it's possible. Yeah, this one it has potential. I'll probably end up just keeping it as a Windows XP machine. I might use this case. I'm not sure what I want to do there. The issue is, if I'm going to build this into a machine, I want it to be kind of like a Windows XP gaming machine. I just don't really have a video card that's any good. It would be good for kind of retro XP gaming. Oh, excuse me. So I don't know what I'm going to do there. I have plenty of PCI Express cards, but none really from the era, and I don't have hardly any AGP cards. So, I mean, all the AGP stuff I have is just like generic kind of business graphics, junky stuff, you know, nothing really worth writing home about. So, I don't really know what I'm going to end up doing with that. I really do like this ThinkCentre case, so I'm going to clean that up. And that might become my new firewall machine. I might relocate the board out of that into this one, along with Core 2 Duo if it'll support it. I think it has a very similar motherboard to that machine that I'm currently running my firewall setup on. That case is just much nicer. And this one here, I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I might load Windows XP or Windows 2000 on it and just sell it off, because it's kind of on the useless side. It doesn't have much in the way of RAM, so it's pretty well junk. That one over there, that's just a nice case. I think I'll probably put my Windows 2000 build in there. Probably an Athlon 1.2 gigahertz Athlon chip. So that'll be a nice machine. I just got to find, again, a video card that's worthy of going into it, because the video cards I've got are kind of garbage. So yeah, that's the real trick here, is trying to get a good AGP video card, because I just don't have any and they're hard to come by. Alright, let's see what I can do with these. Okay, now this is a pleasant surprise. That Lenovo that was supposed to be totally dead with a bad motherboard, well, as far as I can tell, this thing works fine, and it's got 3 gigs of RAM in it. It's got a Core 2 Duo T6600, and when I pulled the bottom off, it had a 120 gig hard drive inside that apparently has Windows XP installed, because it tried to boot into Windows XP. And also the RAM is not DDR2, it's DDR3. This thing has a 2 gig stick and a 1 gig stick of DDR3 in it, which is pretty fantastic. The only thing really wrong with it, as far as I can tell, and aside from this kind of broken optical drive cover, is there's a big old scratch down the screen right there, but it doesn't really affect anything. Yeah, it works. So let's see if it'll boot up. Now, there's probably personal information on here. I promised to wipe these hard drives, so I will go ahead and do that, but that was just because I powered it off before when it started to boot. Yeah, this thing looks like it works fine. So yeah, free Lenovo. I don't think the battery is charging, unfortunately, but I'll leave it plugged in for a little while and see if that battery will charge up. This would be a prime candidate for something like Linux Mint. Yeah, this is working. That doesn't look too promising, so we've got some sort of problem with the operating system, but yeah, alright. I'm going to shut that back down since I'm not interested in what's on that OS. I will just wipe the drive, but it does in fact work, and the hard drive does work. I don't know how good the drive is, but that's a pleasant surprise to find a machine in completely good working order. Unfortunately, this HP over here is not the same way. This is missing both the hard drive and its proprietary connector that goes down in there. I believe it had some sort of like right angle SATA connector in there. That's missing, as well as the RAM and our Wi-Fi card. So this one, I'm going to pop the CMOS battery out of here since these are hard to find. I will take the screen out. I'll take the keyboard. Boy, that don't want to come out of there. I'll get a hold of that later and get that out. I'll pull the CPU out. I'll pull this battery out, but the rest of it I'll put in the junk bin for Hamvention, and it'll probably go for nothing. I'll probably just give it to somebody if they want it for parts. But I'm going to take anything that I can use off of it, and then I'll toss the rest of it, really. But yeah, it's unfortunate because it's kind of a nice looking HP, but it's missing the optical drive and stuff too. So I'll even pull some of these rubber feet off and replace some other ones of mine that are missing the rubber feet. I always do that when I get a laptop that's dead, that's got good feet on it still. I'll take them off and put them on a different one. But yeah, this Lenovo seems to work fine. It's a little bit dodgy. Hinges don't seem the best, but it does stay up okay, so I guess it's good enough. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that. I haven't tried any of the other computers yet, but really only have 2 complete units out there, so I'll have to test them out. But for now, I think what I'm going to do is grab a live Linux CD and see if I can boot into that successfully. So let's go over to the CD stash of wonder and see what I can find. Oops, wrong button. Trying to do all this one-handed. What do we want? I don't have any modern OSs in there. Now let's try Elementary OS. I haven't used that in a while. I've got an installer upstairs, so I'll go grab that and see if I can get it loaded on here. I won't bore you with the installation process, so I'll just jump cut to when I've got something on here. And we're back. And yep, you're looking at the ThinkCentre now instead of the other Lenovo laptop that was here a minute ago, actually several hours ago. Yeah, I got this thing working. It was missing power supply, heatsink, processor, RAM, pretty much everything but the motherboard and case, but I was able to rummage around my parts bin, find a heatsink that was vaguely the right shape, and do a little bit of metal work to get it to fit into that little socket thing that Lenovo likes to use on these particular machines. I had one that was real close, this thing here, which is out of a small form factor one, but it was a little too long to fit in there, and I didn't really want to cut this one. So I grabbed one out of an old gateway and kind of filed and sanded down the edges so it would be a little bit smaller, and now it fits in perfectly and makes good contact. It's got a nice copper slug in there, plenty good enough for the Pentium D that I put in this machine. It came with a Pentium 4 hyper-threaded, but now it has a 3.2 gigahertz Pentium D installed, and it performs admirably. I also have 2 gigs of DDR2 RAM in there, a 1 gig stick and two 512 meg sticks. It was just whatever junk I had laying around, and it runs fairly nicely. You can see there's a whole bunch of other chips that I tried in here. It didn't like the Core 2 Duo, unfortunately, and it also I had a Pentium 4 hyper-threaded that I put in there originally to test it, because I wanted to have the chip that it would have shipped with in there just for testing purposes, but just to make sure everything is working. I have not repaired the motherboard yet. There's a bunch of blown caps on it, but so far it seems to be running pretty stable. I also put my little badge on the front of their Planet Express sticker. So yeah, I've kind of badged it as my own now. All those Futurama fans out there. Sure you know what that's from. And yeah, let's go ahead and look here. I'm running, let's see, this is Elementary OS. I forget the revision. It's the latest version of it as of today. I forget what the code name is for this one. Yeah, pretty much stock install. I installed a little game on here and Chromium browser. Just been playing around with it. Also found this nice Lenovo Think wallpaper. I'm quite liking that. But yeah, let's see. We can navigate over to YouTube here. Machine's fairly snappy. It does decent at playing just standard definition videos up to 480p as well. It just automatically sets it to that, so that's pretty good. I'll cut that out before I get sued. I have a feeling that LGR probably wouldn't sue me, but I don't want to play too much of it. You can see there it was playing perfectly fine. Let's go ahead and we'll play something else. You can see, yep, that is working perfectly. Nice, smooth 480p video playback. The whole system is fairly responsive. And this is just running off an 80 gigabyte conventional hard drive. I think it's on Western Digital. So kind of junk, but I'm actually really liking this system. I'd be tempted to actually keep it and use it. I think I will. I'm quite fond of it. I might turn it into a nice little Linux workstation. It's good just to have a few Linux boxes lying around. Only thing I don't really care for is this back part is, it's a different color than the front panel. It's weird. It's kind of like it has a slight greenish tint to the gray. It's a more gray, and this is black. So, yeah, I kind of would have preferred the whole thing to be black, but I really like the aesthetic of this case. It's just angular and kind of, I don't know, it looks like something you'd see in a sci-fi film or something from the mid-'80s or something. I don't know. It's just kind of cool looking. It's got this neat angled intake here in the front, and it's actually a pretty quiet running machine. I think I will put another exhaust fan in the back, since I think it was meant to have one and it was probably taken out. I'm not sure if it came stock with that or not. But the Lenovo laptop up here that we discovered earlier does in fact work perfectly fine. Let me go ahead. I'm just going to leave it up here and boot it up. I'll show you. It is also, excuse the camera work here, it's also running elementary OS. I know this is really precariously perched up here, but yes, it does work perfectly acceptably. It's got 3 gigs of DDR3 RAM in it and a 2.2 gigahertz Core 2 Duo. So it's actually considerably more powerful than the machine it is resting on. Boy, that looks really bad. I assure you it's not going anywhere, but yep, this also is running the latest version as of today of Elementary OS. I really quite like this operating system. I usually use Linux Mint, but if I'm going to give a PC to somebody else that's running Linux, I would definitely... It's really a toss-up between Mint and Elementary OS, but Elementary is just a gorgeous operating system. I mean, this is a beautiful... It's a very beautiful operating system. I love the aesthetic it's got going. It runs really nicely even on moderately old hardware like this. This is not the most ancient of hardware, but it's not new either. You can see it does kind of stutter a little bit when it's first booting, and the mouse is incredibly sensitive. It has a little bit of a lag too. I think it felt like that in Windows XP as well. I think this is just kind of a garbage touchpad. You see it is actually picking up our wireless networks, so this does work fine. The only real issue I found with the machine, as I said before, there's a nasty old scratch right down there on the screen. You can probably see that actually on camera. I tried to clean it off, but it is actually a scratch in the display. It looks like there's a big dark spot, but that's actually part of the wallpaper there. So, but the screen, aside from that scratch, looks fine, and it's a fairly large laptop with a large display. The keyboard's not terrible. The trackpad's awful. I actually fixed the optical drive. It was kind of popped out. I just pushed the clip back in where it was supposed to go, and that works fine now. There is one USB port over on this side here that's busted. You can see inside there it's all chewed up. Somebody had a flash drive and probably set it down on it or bumped it or something and ripped the inside of that port out. So apparently that wasn't too sturdy. But yeah, I need to clean this thing up a little bit. It's pretty dirty. But yeah, this thing does work. The only real hardware issue with it is the battery, which doesn't seem to be taking a charge yet. I'm going to leave it on overnight and see if it'll accept the charge. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It probably has a bad cell in it, and I wouldn't be holding my breath for it to accept a charge, although the light has stayed blinking now before it went out and stopped. So that's maybe a good sign. I don't know. I highly doubt that. I'm going to guess that it'll still be doing the same thing tomorrow morning, but we shall see. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with these two. This Lenovo / IBM here is fully operational now. I do need to put the hard drive into a hard drive caddy. I actually have it mounted in where the floppy drive goes. You can see the little barcode on the end of it there, because I didn't know I had one of these. Did not include this. I found this out of another IBM ThinkCentre. It's actually another one of those models down there. I have 2 of them. The other one is for parts, so I pulled that out, and that should give me a nicer way to mount the hard drive. And hopefully I can find a floppy drive that'll match that and fit in there. Yeah, this IBM down here also works fine, but I'm not going to bother powering it up. It's actually running Windows XP, even though it says it's got a Windows 2000 key on it. It looks to have a completely clean install of Windows XP on it. I really don't know if I'm going to keep that on there or what's going to go on with that. I think I'll probably end up just selling this machine, probably for next to nothing, because I don't have the room for it. It's big, it's bulky, and it's really slow and kind of crap. It's got a 1.6 gigahertz Pentium 4 and 512 megabytes of RAM, so it's on the garbage side of computers, although it is a very well built system. I don't know if I'll salvage anything out of it or if I'll just sell it the way it is. I'll probably end up just listing it how it is or taking it to Hamvention, although this thing, it's heavy, it's chunky. I don't know if anybody's really going to want to lug that thing around down there. And I really don't want to carry it there either. It takes up tons of space in a vehicle to bring all these big towers. Ugh, I keep zooming in on stuff. I apologize, I need to watch my viewfinder a little bit closer. That machine down there, I also have put some components in, but that will be another video on its own. But yeah, so that was a pretty good haul. I'm very pleased, and I'm liking what that machine looks like there. It's almost kind of ominous and overbearing. I like it. It's cool. It's big, it's monolithic, and it's definitely a very IBM-esque machine, even though it was produced by Lenovo. It still has the IBM logo on there, and that is something that I can highly approve of. Gotta love your IBMs, you know? I really want to get a 5150, but they're getting pretty hard to come by. So I guess these will have to do for now. But yeah, alright. Well, let me know what you think, guys. And yeah, keep on picking and finding computers. And if you guys got any similar stuff or any questions or anything, leave it down in the comments. I'd love to see some of the stuff you guys are finding too. So yeah, hang in there, guys. Take it easy.